So why I'm saying that neurodiversity is our brain's trauma response or the survival response. To understand this, we will have to understand what is survival response and what the adaptations that the brain does when it is experiencing an emotional threat. Again, I want to say that it is linked to the it is a response to the emotional threat that our brain was experiencing. Now, the reason I'm saying that it is coming as part of the generational baggage is because we neurodivergent people, we are born with this condition. So which means what we were already born very sensitive, sensitive then compared to the neurotypical kids, which means what really was happening is we were born so sensitive because we were carrying those imprints of that generational baggage through our parents, and I would say the trauma, or it could also be like the trauma you experience as part of when you were in your mother's womb. So that is where now why we experience so much anxiety and overwhelm all the time. Even when we are doing basic tasks, there is this constant anxiety that we experience. I used to have this deep anxiety all the time while driving or even just while walking the street. Like, I wasn't present. I used to always feel this stuckness and this overwhelm all the time. So everything used to make me anxious. Social situations, for sure, because I'm autistic, so I used to get overwhelmed when I used to visit malls or any crowded places. That used to make me very overwhelmed and very tired, and I used to come back home and I just wanted to again sleep, so need that time to recover. And this makes everything hard because the world is functioning so fast, everyone around us is functioning so fast, and we always need this time to get over of this feeling of anxiety and overwhelm. The reason we feel this constant anxiety and overwhelm because of the brain's fight or flight response. Our amygdala, which is responsible for the threat perception, it constantly keeps scanning the environment because our brain is still thinking that I have an emotional threat, and it just it's sort of programmed. It is still working in that threat mode. So it's like it is configured into that mode. And when amygdala keeps scanning the environment, it starts training us. And only after I went through my healing, I had started experiencing these shifts that, after an year, after continuously keep practicing, keep regulating my nervous system, I came to this stage where I started feeling the anxiety was sort of gone. And this was so profound transformation for someone who has lived with this constant feeling of anxiety and overwhelm, that the person is suddenly feeling calm and better from inside. And that's when I restarted researching, and I realized that my amygdala was constantly scanning the environment, and that was causing me this overwhelm and anxiety constantly, and it causes a lot of drain. So simple activities becomes very difficult because your brain is spending this extra energy to keep scanning the environment. It's like something is, all the neurodivergent people, even my daughter says that she has something going on here, and that is the reason that your brain needs to activate its own parasympathetic state. It's just trying to signal you that. The other thing that I used to experience was this forgetfulness, memory issues, difficulty in performing mental activities, and reading, writing, comprehension, that planning, organizing, everything. So whenever I used to sit, I just couldn't focus, and I couldn't comprehend, and I couldn't read anything, not even a single page. I would not. it didn't used to make any sense to me. For so many decades I have struggled with this, that I'm there but not really present. The active listening, like, always was something that was the heart. Like, I just couldn't listen in my meetings at workplace or in my classes or anywhere. I was just not present. This happens because of the fight or flight response. What really happens is the hippocampus. The hippocampus is responsible for our memory processing, memory navigation, storage and retrieval of the memory, and our logical thinking, decision making, alertness, activeness, our spatial awareness. This part of the brain is responsible to manage all those activities. Now, when our brain is constantly working into this threat response, the hippocampus decides that I don't need to process to perform any logical thinking or anything, because at this point of time my only focus is to protect myself. And that's why it starts shutting down all those other functionings of the brain. And that is why we experience all this issues with memory, forgetfulness. And it's like brain is running in this hyper focus mode. So that's why, like, our logical thinking, logical decision making, everything is then programmed to the survival response. So the brain is only going to activate all those functions if it feels that I am at threat and I have to get into this hyper focus mode. That is why we neurodiverse people, usually the ADHDs, we perform very well into the crisis situation, because that's when the brain just knows that, okay, I have to activate and I have to get this thing done. But when it becomes an everyday pattern, we start feeling drained, because our brain is running in this hyper focus mode all the time, and it will start draining us if every single day we are going to work as if we are going to win a race. And the threat response is not our everyday response. So we should only be living into this mode for 10% of our day. But we neurodiverse people, we live into this stress response 90% of our time. And that is why we have experienced this difficulty in sitting at one place, and all these other hyperactivity issues, that we want to be constantly on edge, we want to do something or other, we just cannot sit still, because our brain is not really in the present moment. So it is disconnected from the present moment. And that's the third adaptation, that the brain is somewhere stuck in that time where it experienced that trauma, and it's kind of the memory and everything is sort of frozen over there. So it comes whenever we need, or is something that we are really passionate about, it starts coming. So that's why it's key to manage neurodiversity is to find your passion and pursue that. But again, for that also you will need energetic alignment. So you will still have to understand and pursue through it. So that will take time. That takes time. Like, you have to gather yourself first to come up to that point. So which means our brain's present moment is switched off. And when present moment is switched off because of the brain's threat response, we experience time blindness, and that is the reason we lose all the awareness in time, and we always lose the track of the time, because our brain is not in the present moment. Once the brain start coming into the present moment, then you start being aware of your environment. So your spatial awareness will come back, your awareness of time will again resume back, and this takes time. But it happens, it definitely happens. So that's the important thing, that we must believe in the power of our own consciousness, in the power, in the intelligence of our own mind and body. So even if you are someone who doesn't really believe into the spiritual aspects, you can still understand and see profound shifts by just working on your physiology. Just bringing your brain's balance back. You can just simply say that, my brain was disconnected somewhere from the present moment, and once I start to regulate my nervous system and process all that trauma, process all those emotions of fear, guilt, shame, you will see profound transformations within yourself. And because the brain is stuck into this fight or flight, that is why our perception of threat also changes. That is the reason we may fear insects, or we may fear loud voices, or the children, they fear anything, because every little thing is activating that threat response in our brain. Everything starts triggering us. And the other thing that happens, and in this threat response of the brain, so we have extremely low levels of happy hormones as compared to the neurotypicals, which means our happy hormones we are not even getting them in the optimal quantity. It's way low, and that's why we have this constant chase of dopamine. And because we are not getting those happy hormones from inside, which we should have been getting, but we are not getting, and that's why because our nervous system is so dysregulated, it has so high levels of cortisol and very low levels of happy hormones. There is a disconnection between the mind and the body itself, because the brain is in the fight response. The brain simply thinks that right now, healing and evolving and nurturing of my body and coordination of my body is not really important. For now, what is important for me is to just protect myself. So that is something that triggers all these responses. And that is why we get this disorganized thought trail, and which means we are not able to recollect our thoughts. We are not able to gather our thoughts, and we are not able to gather our own self. That's the crux of the issue that we are experiencing, is that we are not able to gather ourselves, and that is causing all these other issues. And so whatever we are experiencing is just this our brain is configured to program in this survival mode. And once we start building this relationship with our own mind and our own body, and we start letting our mind and body know that everything is now all right and we can resume the normal functioning, it starts resuming. The other thing which I wanted to tell you also, that we neurodiverse people, we are emotionally also very sensitive. We are emotionally very sensitive towards feeling rejection. We are very sensitive towards what others think about us or how others perceive us, and we don't have that inner resilience to deal with all these emotional wounds. Like, we have this fear of loneliness, fear of being abandoned, and everything is heightened. You will see that everything gets heightened, and we just feel like there is no way. Like, we get emotionally triggered very easily, and this is something that we have experienced since childhood, that our nervous system gets into this fight mode very easily, or sometimes it just goes into the flight mode. So it's kind of functioning into these 4 modes only: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So we choose one of the behavior in that point of time and we exhibit that behavior. So all our behaviors, coping mechanisms, all our traits, they are actually these coping traits. So our brain's coping mechanisms. And once we start regulating our nervous system, then we start finding that we are now able to manage our emotions. So we start developing this inner resilience towards these feelings of heightened insecurities or low self-worth, inferiority complex. It all starts coming down. And that is something that you will have to experience on your own. And for that you will have to be persistent towards your own healing, you will have to be committed towards your own healing, and you have to have this faith on the healing process that yes, it works, and this is the ultimate solution to your neurodiversity, whether it is autism spectrum disorder, whether it is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, whether it is combination of both, and whether it is the OCD, ODD, or whatever the name you give. It is just your brain's response to this threat. It's your brain's threat response. So once you start working on this, you will see profound changes within yourself, and you will start feeling so safe within yourself. You will start feeling so connected with your own self that you won't really bother about then what really happens with the world. I would say that this feeling itself is so profound and is so magical, and I wish all of us experience this inner transformation. This is what our neurodiverse brain is asking from us. It needs our love. It needs our compassion. It wants us, to hold ourselves, to talk to our deepest self. We have to connect with our own authentic self. We have to understand the power of pursuing our own passions. We have to understand the power of the joy that we are carrying from within, and everything is just the reflection of that joy. So, and that happens only when you start working for your own self. And I wish you all the very best. And if you want me to help you out, please reach out to me, and I will be able to help you step by step, guide you on this healing path. I'll make you stay connected with your own self, with your own healing journey. And if you like my content, please like and subscribe to my channel. And thank you so much for listening to me and staying with me up to here. Thank you.